Hello, friends, family, and people who want to fight me. We are about to do Bible study. Maybe, just maybe, Cassandra will show up. Oh my, how glorious that would be. We're going to be talking about First Kings. We're going to be finishing up a chapter that we started to do last week. So we're going to be in chapter 8, and then we're going to get into chapter 9. It's going to be great. We're going to take 5 minutes for you guys to find the link, which I have just shared. Great news. So I'll see you guys in 5. How about that? How about this week you actually come out? How about that? All right? All right. Shalom, Yoav. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I had a great time away. I was watching some plays. We had like a theater weekend, my wife and I. One of the plays was about the Amish, and I really like that one a lot. I'm a big fan of the Amish. Um, I don't suppose you have many Amish in in Israel.
We've got our own
No.
religious Orthodox.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. Actually, they look a little bit like the Black Hats, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay. I don't know who else is showing up. I hope Cassandra does. I don't know what her working situation is like now, so maybe I'll bother her. Um, I listened today to last week's Bible study, and I think the line that I said to you, I have to find the quote directly, is I said, Yoav, you will always be invited because you always bring such delightful heresies. Um, something like that. Um, okay. We're going to go into the text. Maybe other people will show up. We'll see. We'll see who comes out. Um, we're going to be finishing off, bare minimum, we're finishing off the chapter that we were in before. So some of this is going to sound familiar. We're at verse 37. I, of course, will be reading because Yoav only reads Hebrew, refuses to read other languages, which I understand. Um, if there is famine in the land, if there is pestilence or blight or mildew or like locust or caterpillar, if their enemy besieges them in the land at their gates. I just realized I didn't tell people. This is chapter 8. 1 Kings chapter 8 verse we started at 37, so now we're at 38. Whatever plague, whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer, whatever plea is made by any man or by all your people Israel, each knowing the affliction of his own heart, stretching out his hands towards this house, then hear in heaven your dwelling place, and forgive and act, and render to each whose heart you know, according to all his ways. For you only know the hearts of all the children of mankind, what they may fear, that they may fear you all the days that they live in the land that you gave to your fathers, to our fathers. Sorry. Yoav, do you have any thoughts on this little opening bit?
Well, I said it last time. He's being a salesman here.
Yeah.
He's selling the idea of a temple to the people. So and it's a bit overplaying it. Well, this is a
Yeah.
cure for every possible disease.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a great way of saying it. It's a cure to every possible disease. It is. Yeah. There's a song called "Step Right Up" by Tom Waits, and it's just him selling a cure for everything for like 3 minutes. Um,
And to your own God, it's a cult with an army, so it's a religion.
that's how we determine the difference between those two. It's good to know. Um, yeah, we were saying this before. The notion of the house is it's quote unquote God's house, but God can't live there. We've established God actually lives in heaven, but doesn't even live in heaven. Heaven and the heaven of heavens, the Shemayim of Shemayim is too small for him. Um, so uh, so you face towards the house, but that house is pointing you towards heaven, which is pointing you towards the real place where God is. Which where is that? It's no place is big enough. Just check something. Okay. Yeah, I'll continue because now there's a bit that's for me, Yoav. That bit was for you, right? You are the people Israel. Um, Likewise, when a foreigner who is not of your people Israel comes from a far country, for your name's sake, for they shall hear of your great name and your mighty hand and of your outstretched arm. When he comes and prays towards this house, here in heaven your dwelling place, and do according to all for which the foreigner calls to you, in order that all the people of the earth may know your name and fear you, as do your people Israel, and that they may know that this house that I have built is called by your name. You have any theories about that?
The same theory. I mean, yes, he's speaking to you, and he's saying to you that you are more than welcome, but he's also speaking to the merchants of Jerusalem. He's just saying it's good for business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cynical.
You're very cynical about that. But I like the idea. This is one of those things that Jacob likes to emphasize. So I'm going to emphasize because I'm on Jacob's channel. I'm also on my own channel. For the three of you that watch it there on Fully Alive, thanks for being there. That God has always intended. God is for everyone. Thank you, Don. That's the image that God is reaching out to all peoples of the earth. We got this language again. For your name's sake, so it's for the sake of God's name. This is the house for God's name. That all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you. As a Christian, I have to say that, look, I'm not from the land of Israel, and there is a particular Jew who taught me the name, and that is Jesus, of course. That's how the name gets brought into all the other places. You can disagree with me about that. But yeah, there was a tradition, and I believe the Orthodox still do it, where they face towards Jerusalem when they pray the Our Father, when they or that they do daily prayers facing Jerusalem, to the city where the house dwells, even though the house is not there right now. Okay, we're gonna look. If Yoav believes this is snake oil, so I'm gonna say some more things that's gonna cure. Okay. If your people go out to battle against their enemy, by whatever way you shall send them, and they pray to the Lord toward the city that you have chosen and the house that I have built for your name, then hear in heaven their prayer and their plea and maintain their cause. If they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you are angry with them and give them to an enemy, so that they are carried away captive to the land of the enemy, far off or near. Yet if they turn their heart in the land to which they have been carried captive, and repent, and plead with you in the land of their captors, saying, we have sinned and have acted perversely and wickedly. If they repent with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, who carried them captive, and pray to you toward their land which you gave to their fathers, the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name. Oh, got Matt there. Then hear in heaven your dwelling place, their prayers and their plea, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, and all their transgressions that they have committed against you, and grant them compassion in the sight of those who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them. Okay, let's pause 1 second, because a bunch of people just came in. Hello, gentlemen. Mr. Sartori, Mr. Skankenstein, Mr. Skankenstein? To say Matt. Hi, guys. Yoav, do you have any thoughts on that bit?
Sounds a bit prophetic.
Yes. Yes, it does. It's very exile centric. It's making a lot out of that exile.
Yep. I don't know. It was not his job to give a prophecy.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I missed everything, but you said exile, and I mean, isn't that stuff like in Deuteronomy? Doesn't Moses say that stuff too? Is
Yeah.
he saying anything novel?
Well, it's interesting because this becomes a repeated thing. It's if you're obedient, things will go well. If you're disobedient, things are going to go poorly, and you're going to be carried off into all the places. So, at some point, you have to assume that it's just a pattern, and that it's prophetic because it always happens. So you can make a prophecy like this because you're safe to make this prophecy. Right? No, Yoav?
Yeah.
Like this line, if you sin, for there is no one who does not sin. Right? It sets this up not as a specific prophecy about a specific time, but about a prophecy about what human beings are like.
Wisdom and prophecy are very similar in the broad sense.
Yeah. If Yoav, if you are, I don't know if your children are marriageable age. If one of your daughters, I feel like you have daughters. No, if one of your sons is about to get married and you give him advice about when he gets into a fight with his wife, he's not going to say, my dad is claiming to be a prophet because he knows we're going to fight one day. You don't need to be a prophet to know that.
My married son has been dating for 16 years before they got married.
Okay.
So they need no advice from me.
Okay. Yanni, you are incorrect. There is prophetesses. The difference between a prophet and a fortune teller, which is gender, just not true. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to jump back into the text, continuing in Solomon's prayer. For they are your. My sexism was showing. Yes, it was, Yanni. For they are your people and your heritage, which you brought out of Egypt from the midst of the iron furnace. Let your eyes be open to the plea of your servant and to the plea of your people Israel, giving ear to them whenever they call to you. For you separated them from among all peoples of the earth to be your heritage, as you declared through Moses your servant, when you brought our fathers out of Egypt, O Lord God.
I don't like it.
You don't like it. Okay. What don't you like? I like you saying I don't like it. Please tell me.
I don't know this metaphor of an iron furnace. Since when is Egypt compared to an iron furnace? In what way is it an iron furnace? Egypt is always associated with bronze and copper. What does it even mean?
So your biggest issue is that it's the wrong metal? That's the issue?
It's a very strange metaphor. What does it mean that Israel was got has been got out of an iron furnace. Okay, this it's a
Is
very
it a
strange.
furnace made out of iron or one for smelting iron?
Well,
You
and
don't
I'm
make you don't
I don't
make
know if that helps
furnace.
anything.
Yes.
um, is the context is the context that iron is the hardest metal, because the other metals are softer, are they not? You mix them with iron, and the iron creates the strength in them, right? Like the image of someone biting gold, like gold is remarkably soft. So you could
No.
say a gold furnace for purity, but if it's an image of the thing that has to be banged, that's the hardest thing, that thing is iron, not.
No,
No,
that's not the physics of it. Sorry.
no, you don't. Okay.
It's true of copper and tin to make bronze, but it is exactly where iron doesn't fit, which bugs me.
Is okay, but are you disagreeing? Is iron the hardest? Iron is
I mean, and that's
known.
also, I mean,
Yeah, sorry. Go
you're in like 1000 AD or BC here, which is the start of the Iron Age. So it's the hot new metal right now.
Yeah,
That's
it's the new thing. It's the modern thing, but it's not associated with Egypt, which is the old thing.
so.
It's the
Is Egypt like the Silicon Valley tech accelerator for Israel?
okay. Take it as you will, because I don't know. I don't know where is aiming at.
Okay. Yeah, there's different metals are used in different contexts. Like I'm thinking, surely there is a mine for silver, is the opening to a chapter of Job, and that chapter is like it. It's talking all about mining, but the importance is about mining the valuable metal, like the one that's more expensive. So that's why it uses silver and gold are the metals that it speaks of. So I'm gonna throw out that it's related. Is it? I don't know. I got to look more
At
into it.
that period,
I,
iron was cheaper and weaker than bronze.
Right.
was it? Because I mean, it's usually, from my understanding, like it's a sign of like military supremacy. Iron chariots and judges. The Philistines had military might because they had a monopoly on iron.
Yes, because the revolution is that you can bring the weapons to the many, because iron is so cheap. But you get to
Okay,
give them,
okay,
but you give them the cheap stuff, the cheap iron. It's not a samurai sword. It's some
gotcha.
rusty thing that you just made in your furnace last night.
Yeah, I wonder if the smelting process for iron deals with more impurities. If it has to be, could even be the temperature.
Yeah, they haven't got there in Solomon's time. So I just don't understand what he's selling there.
Yeah. Okay, Michael, do you have anything you want to throw in there? No. Okay. Either way, we were talking before that the mountain of God, where God's presence is resting, is an image of Mount Sinai as well as Eden, and so the bringing back about God taking us out of Egypt, I think that is making the image more present. Michael, are you driving? Oh, you are driving. Okay, fine. Then I'll read. Because Michael is working and Matt is working. Michael is driving. Now, as Solomon finished offering all this prayer and plead to the Lord, he arose from before the altar of the Lord, where he had knelt with hands outstretched toward heaven. And he stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, "Blessed be the Lord, who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he promised. Not one word has failed of all his good promises, which he spoke by Moses his servant. The Lord our God be with us, as he was with our fathers. May he not leave us or forsake us, that he may incline our hearts to him, to walk in all his ways and to keep his commandments, his statutes, his rules, which he commanded our fathers. Let these words of mine, with which I have pleaded before the Lord, be near to the Lord our God day and night. And may he maintain the cause of his servant and the cause of his people Israel, as each day requires, that all the people of the earth may know that the Lord is God. There is no other. Let your heart, therefore, be wholly true to the Lord our God, walking in his statutes and keeping his commandments as at this day." Man, this is very ironic, isn't it? That the guy who's going to build temples to other gods says there is no other God, and we have to keep wholly true to the Lord our God. It's kind of weird.
It's very weird question. Where is the high priest?
Do you think he had this sort of an example of Solomon being too smart for his own good? He's still like disenchanted. Well, there's only one, so all these other little buildings are nothing because they're dedicated to nothing. Sort of like, I mean, the smart are just really, really good at rationalizing things for themselves. I feel like that's wisdom run amok.
But Yoav is correct. We have mentioned in other places about the high priest, but this seems like a role that the priest should be partaking in. I mean, to some extent, the king is submitting himself to God, and that's important. But yeah, you'd think this is the role of the priest.
He's taking the role of the prophet. He's taking the role of the high priest. It's not like him. I just don't understand the situation.
Yeah, that's strange. It's very interesting that you're saying that the son of David is this prophet, priest, and king. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Michael Sartori.
King of Jerusalem is a position formerly held by a type of priest.
Yeah.
So maybe you inherit that. He's a priest like Melchizedek.
Yeah, but I'm very earthly. There is politics in Jerusalem. What would the high priest say about what's going on? Wouldn't the high priest mind that he has this good opportunity for a nice speech and it was been taken away from him?
That's a good.
I'm sure, but the priest was he was put in place by Solomon, and Solomon bumped off the other priest that was disloyal to him. So it's like there's already some politicking in how he got his job as high priest.
But okay,
surely I will not say anything. That's for sure. But I'm sure that in his bed at night he was not very happy.
I don't know. Maybe he's not into speeches. He's more into the butchery part.
Yeah, but I think Solomon was doing that as well. I mean,
If you're this is like the kind of guy who never rises above NCO in the military. If you're into the butchery part, if you want to be the high priest, you gotta do the thinky talky bits too.
It's interesting though because Saul doesn't wait for Samuel, doesn't wait for the priest to make the prayer and the sacrifice, right? Like and I want to honor what Don is saying here. That almost seems like when one guy tries to be all the things, that won't turn out well. So there's an idea that the human that tries to hold all of these elements, if he's just a mere mortal, that this really falls apart. Yeah, it goes pretty quickly from Christ to Antichrist, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but that's a kind of a mistake that a peasant like Saul would do.
Right.
Solomon was raised and so palace politics, and he got his way through palace politics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beginner's mistake. Something is going on that I do not understand.
It is interesting, though, I will say, with this, the last two sections that emphasize Israel as sinning and then God hearing from there. It is kind of strange because you would think if this is just propaganda, that its perspective is that was a fluke, that things went bad, right? Like it is leaning pretty high on things going wrong and not on things going right. And Jacob is saying it's the mistake Christians make all the time. The book of Hebrews is like an anti-type of the entire Hebrew Bible. Thank you for throwing in your 2 cents, Jacob.
I don't know what the book of Hebrew is, so it's past me.
Yeah, it's a New Testament book. You give it a read. You tell me. I'd love to hear just your thoughts on it without you talking to Jacob first. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Won't happen.
No? Have you read the New Testament? No. It's pretty good. As far as sequels go, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
definitely goes on some interesting, not detours, but moves forward in creative directions.
Yeah. Let me bring this stuff back. Okay. Don says Hebrews is full of eye-rolling gobbledygook. I love Hebrews. Yeah. Don't you want to read some eye-rolling gobbledygook, Yoav? Okay.
I mean, part of Solomon's speak is, I would classify as such. But I will give him the credit that he may be talking past me, and I will have to think about it more.
Okay. Let's continue this chapter. Then the king, let's be thinking as Yoav has introduced us to think, okay, about where the priest is in this question. Then the king and all Israel with him offered sacrifice before the Lord. Solomon offered as peace offerings to the Lord 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people of Israel dedicated the house of the Lord. The same day the king consecrated the middle of the court that was before the house of the Lord. For there he offered the burnt offering and the grain offering and the fat pieces of the peace offering, because the bronze altar that was before the Lord was too small to receive the burnt offering and the grain offering and the fat pieces of the peace offerings. Yeah. Imagine the lines of cows and sheep going out of Israel. Yeah, mind-boggling. The logistics of the sacrifices. It is interesting. Now we have depictions of what the altar, the bronze, what was the bronze altar, what it became in Solomon's temple, and its dimensions and all that stuff. But it is interesting that it's emphasizing this idea that the original was too small. I don't know. There's something there in that. Is this good? Is this an improvement? Go ahead.
It just makes me think of when, like, one of the things that's noted after the splitting of the kingdom with Rehoboam is that, like, he gets, like, sacked and pillaged by the Egyptians, I think, and has to replace his gold shields with bronze shields. This could be a positive need for expansion, because I think the downgrading to bronze later on is a note of, like, decline as the golden age is over.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Michael, what do you think? Do you think this is a positive expansion or a negative one?
Positive.
You think it's positive?
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any reason for that?
It's not the thing that they keep repeating over and over. Well, it's not the sin of Jeroboam that they keep talking about later in the book. So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't know. I'm thinking of, like, David's, like, penitential psalms. The fact that, like, he recognizes, like, it's not about the cows. I'm not bribing you. It's what these indicate and symbolize. So I don't know. Like, could be a jab on, like, this is more ostentatious than is required.
Yeah.
Like, or the amount of sacrifice is just over the top in a way that's like, this is not what I asked for. Calm down, guys. Although, if the sacrifice is also a participatory meal, I guess you just need that many cows to feed that many people.
Yeah. Now, I also really like Yanni's issues with the math, which is if you sacrifice one ox every 5 minutes, it will take you 30 and a half days to kill that many oxen. Yeah.
seems to indicate the presence of other priests.
That's what he was doing. He's managing all of the spreadsheets, organizing all the priests.
Yeah, it is.
And
yeah.
Like, a spreadsheet brain priest is definitely the kind of guy Solomon would hire too.
Right. Yeah, if Solomon pays for the sacrifices to be made, is that still him doing it? Yeah, I'm just not troubled by that, I guess. Whatever conveyor belt of throat slitting is occurring here.
Well, parallel processing is the answer. Of course, it was done all through Jerusalem and not in one place. Jacob has taught us this about ritual bathing. But I'm still wondering if you can find as many oxen and sheep in the whole of Israel. And my conclusion is that it was, as Solomon hinted, it was an international affair. I don't think there were only Jews in that event. I think such a great event as the inauguration of the temple was a regional celebration rather than a local one.
Mm-hmm. Kirk, can I get a hello from you? Kirk?
bad on my end. Okay, now
Okay.
you're a little bit
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Hiker. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So that you view it as international. That explains why the prayer opens up to the international as well. That this becomes a day. Our friend is saying, I also think taking the numbers 2 literally is a mistake. Yeah. Yeah. What period of time did this?
Well, as I said to you before, the method of discussion here in this class is suspension of disbelief. Of course, anyone can say of any words and any sentence here, well, of course it didn't happen, or it's just allegorical, or King Solomon actually did not exist. You could say that, but once Jacob disputes one number, then I can dispute any other word in the Bible, and
Right.
I'm not going there because that is the exercise we are doing now. This is the text before us, and we are relating to the text.
Yeah, that's a good way.
And we are not disputing it. It's for other times and other discussions.
That's a good point. Thank you, Yoav. Thank you. All right, let's finish up this chapter. So Solomon held the feast at that time, and all Israel with him, a great assembly from Lebo Hamath to the brook of Egypt. Hey, look at that. Yeah, with a great assembly from Lebo Hamath to the brook of Egypt, before the Lord our God 7 days. On the 8th day, he sent the people away, and they blessed the king and went to their homes joyful and glad of heart for all the goodness that the Lord had shown to David his servant and to Israel his people. Thoughts on that ending?
Again, to argue with Jacob, if you find in the text that we are reading that it doesn't recognize that it is treating itself as poetic and allegorical, please show me in this text that we are reading, where does it treat itself as allegorical? And I will accept your argument in the limits of the discussions here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why not a river? In the Hebrew, it's a river, but it's in the middle of the desert. It's on the border with Egypt, so it's in the middle of the Sinai or Negev desert. There are no rivers there. I mean, you can call them a river or a wadi or whatever. River it isn't.
This seems strange to me. I just looked it up, and it is Eloheinu. It is our God. It's not. So Solomon did this before the Lord, his God. It's our. I don't know why that's standing out to me. It's that the narrator is inserted into his opinion on this. I find that strange. I don't know of any other I don't. this is kind of strange to me that it's written as our God.
That is interesting. We just finished this big long section that's written first person from Solomon's perspective as the speaker. I don't know if that's not like slop, but I mean, or just a sort of like a holdover from the mode of writing above. But that now that you point out, that definitely stands out.
Yeah, like that's one of the aspects where we, in the New Testament, you piece together when someone is an eyewitness to certain events because they start using our, we, that kind of language. So it's interesting that the writer says Hashem, our God, 7 days. Now, we were talking before about tents over temples, that there is a feast which celebrates the time that we celebrate with God, and that is a 7-day feast. But on special years, there is a great day of the feast, which is sometimes referred to as a feast in and of itself, and that is the 8th day. Okay, and Chezi has said that he believes the temple is like an 8th day invention. So this idea of on the 8th day he sent the people away and they blessed the king, that would have been a special day of the feast. Also, I kind of was saying this before about the mouth opening ceremony last week, but I think I kind of stopped talking. The creation of the world and God, the use of the temple is a 7th day process where at the end of that, the presence of God enters. So that then you have this 7-day feast and all these things lined up with each other. These would recollect the way in which we dwell with God and call God's presence into our world. That's what this is all about. It's about the relationship between human beings and God and what living with God looks like, which is what the next chapter, which I think we're going to finish off on this chapter, but I think that's what the next chapter is, because it's again, God appears to Solomon after this. We see this massive ritual of human beings and God kind of meeting.
I have a fierce debate here with Jacob. Yes, I am reading the source in Hebrew, and Jacob claims that if I can make a tune of it, if I can sing it, somehow it will turn it from history to allegory. And remind him that it was said, whoever takes the Song of Songs and put it to music and sings it doesn't have any share in the next world. So the fact that you can sing a piece of text doesn't make it unhistorical. Certainly not in those ages where singing a text was the best way to convey it before it was put on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday we read a prayer which is obviously needs to be sung out and obviously is not historical. And it was mentioning new light will shine on Zion. And my approach is to take this prayer song literally and analyze the geography of Jerusalem and conclude that on the last day the sun will rise from the west. That's the way I work.
So, I mean, I don't think it's just allegorical, and I don't think it's just, giving us the exact numbers. I think that it's telling us a history in a manner that is like, Andre and Don are saying, something that's easy to memorize. So, like the round numbers, the round large numbers also, right? I don't think anybody, I certainly don't think the person who was sitting there writing Kings was had actually done a census of the number of whatever animal was being slaughtered on that day. I don't think that's how it ever worked. I think if anything, 120,000 sounds like a nice large number for nice large number.
Okay, first of all, I want my 10% from David from conjuring the Jacob into the broadcast.
What an honor.
And you know, I'm going to, I'm not going to go on this argument with Jacob. It's not worthwhile. I mean, I've spoken my speech, he's spoken his, and it's not worthwhile that we are going to spend more of everybody's time on this.
I'm trying to think how 10,000 gets used, because the 120,000 is 10,000 from each tribe.
Yeah, I just think it's a very modernist frame to imagine that it's like, oh, exact numbers.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't ruin my faith if an extra sheep snuck in somewhere that was not counted in there.
I was not arguing that the number is correct to the last digit. I was trying to think what happens if I take this literally. What conclusions can lead me if I do take it seriously? I can always retrace and say, oh, it doesn't make sense, so I'm not taking it literally. But why not explore the option that it might?
I am perfectly fine with anybody exploring whatever options they want. I just, for me, and the reason I said I think taking it too literally is a mistake is because ultimately I think there is a surface level at which the text is trying to communicate, and I think a perfectly good translation of this verse to English would be, and they slaughtered millions. And
Yeah,
I think anybody, I mean, if we were to say that in English, and they slaughtered millions, would be to understand, oh, we're talking large number. And I think 120,000, the way it's being used here, is large number.
okay. This book.
I think it's 12 large numbers actually.
Okay.
Like
this book,
12,
this book that I'm reading,
Yeah.
Hebrew, a Sefer, was written by a writer in Hebrew, Sofer. And the word Sofer is exactly the same word in Hebrew as the one that counts. Because this is how it began in Sumeria or Egypt or wherever, when they invented writing. There was somebody in the palace whose job was to count the sheep coming into the palace. This is how it started 10 of thousands years before Solomon. And then as a side occupation, they also started to write down the nice speech that Solomon had just gave. So I rather more trust them with counting the sheep than reporting the exact words of Solomon in the speech.
I agree with you, which is why I think you should recognize that when such a person says 120,000, they may be using it in the same way that I would put they slaughtered millions.
Jacob, now that I have you
Yes.
here, what do you think of Egypt as the iron furnace specifically?
So, I mean, that was it's along the same lines, right? Like, I think when we talk about metals in the Bible, right, when it talks about Elohe Kesef, Elohe Zahav. I don't know what percentage of those idols were actually made of gold in any way. They probably were. Some of them probably were, and some of them were gold plated, and some of them were just shiny bronze that kind of maybe looked a little goldish. And so when the Bible is referring to a metal, um, okay, I mean that this is, as Don said, that this is something that Moses used, right? And if you're making fun of Egypt, which happens a lot in Nach, right, and you want to refer to them as the iron crucible as opposed to the gold crucible or the silver crucible, right? Again, I think the language is far more allegorical than we are used to reading, especially a text like this, which appears to be a historical text. And history 2,000 years ago was not written how we write history today.
Okay, I have a suggestion. When I read the number, there is a similarity between Elef and Aluf. Aluf would be the, let's say, the leader of the head, the sheep or the in front, or the ox that is leading the herd. So I think it is a unit of measurement of herds. If I brought to you 120 Elef, I brought to you 120 herds, and I don't know how many, not exactly 1,000 in a herd, but it's a unit measure. It's a unit measurement of a herd.
I mean, I have no idea if what I'm proposing is actually in any way historical. It would take somebody like Yosef. But you could equally say maybe they just brought the equivalent of a bellwether, right? So in modern herds, you have a bellwether that is the leader.
Yeah.
And if you bring the bellwether and slaughter the bellwether in substitution of the entire herd, did you just slaughter, I don't know how many a bellwether goes with, 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I am concerned, perfectly legitimate way of slaughtering and counting how many things you slaughtered. In fact, I don't know if Yoav has ever bothered with the back of his Siddur. Probably not. But so a Jewish prayer book in Israel has a little ceremony in which you take tithes from the produce you bought at your local farmer's market, because we know Israeli farmers, especially from the kibbutzim, are very, very into actually taking their tithes or not. So Orthodox Jews end up taking a tithe from their produce when they bring it home, right? And you are allowed to take any measure, even the tiniest bit. And I did this when I was in Israel, right? I would buy some fruit and I would take one little piece of the fruit, and I would be podeh. I would do the ceremony of taking the tithe, right? Like I'm remembering the pear I did this with, right? I took a slice of that one pear, and I was podeh. I redeemed the tithe of the entire bag of groceries I bought, right?
Fine. So we are in agreement. 1,000 here is a unit of measurement of a herd that can be anywhere between 1 and 50 and 1,000. I have no idea where.
And frankly, I don't think the text is asserting anything different. I think that's the important part.
Fine.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the text literally, and I'm taking.
No, you're not taking the text literally. You're taking it in a modern way.
No, in a modern way, 1,000 is 1,000.
Yeah.
And trying to look through their eyes, and how was 1,000 in their eyes? Like when Solomon was talking about God residing in the fog.
Mm.
Fog is in the modern Hebrew. I was taking a lot of effort of thinking, what would the word fog mean to Solomon? Could have, and yes, I do like to play with words. This is why I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going to tell a slightly long story, but I think it's worth it. Sorry about this, David. So
All right.
Jerome, when Jerome decided to translate the Vulgate, he decided to go back to the original Hebrew instead of translating from the Septuagint. And there's a famous exchange of letters between him and Augustine, debating on whether he should have done that. And Augustine explains this scene, which I always found incredibly humorous, which is apparently the word kikayon in Jonah, right? The whatever that gourd or however you want to translate kikayon is, that Jonah had, the plant that Jonah had. Which, by the way, for the Christians, I think that's what Jesus meant by the sign of Jonah, not anything with 3 days. But apparently he had used a different word for kikayon than the Septuagint did, and there were riots in the streets where people were fist fighting over what the proper the correct translation of kikayon is, and Augustine was blaming Jerome for doing that. And I in a very real sense feel that, like, this discussion that we're having over 120,000 sheep is similarly us taking something that, frankly, I don't think the writer of Saint Augustine was wrong about a lot of stuff. I don't think it. I don't think the text cares. I don't think the text ever cared, and I think that the fact that we care is something that says more about us today than it does about the text we're reading.
Yoav, your final response. Well, I had fun.
It's very deep. The division here is very deep. It's the nature of the Israeli. And as much of the Israeli is a Jew, yes, the text doesn't care. But the Israeli is also a Canaanite, and he would like to know the history of his land and how things. The objective truth matters to the Israeli.
As I constantly tell my Christian friends, no, it really does matter if Jesus is actually alive and not some form of copium out in heaven sitting on the right hand of something.
I also think, related to, let's just leave that for right now. But this is also very interesting, because Yoav, your skepticism that has also been greatly expressed in this study in particular of this week, but at the same time, the way that you're treating the text, of how the text needs to be interpreted a particular way, is the mode of interpretation. Does that create for you? Do you think the skepticism towards the text?
No, it's that I don't have this. It's not against the text. It's against the people. I don't trust Solomon as far as I can throw him.
Okay. Yeah. This is interesting.
Of course, I have a Greek mindset because the Greek and Jews and Knainat have been mixing since the times of Solomon, of Samson. Samson is actually a Greek hero if you read the story. It's all in the family.
I will definitely agree with that. When Athanasius, I think it was, said, "What does Athens have to do with Jerusalem?" My answer is a lot more than it has to do with Memphis or Beijing.
Mm-hmm. You mean the southern U.S.? That's what you mean by Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee. Well,
Yeah.
no, I may have been thinking of the capital of Egypt back 2,000
Yes.
years ago, but Memphis, Tennessee also works.
Yeah, very little.
Does Memphis, Egypt have a massive Bass Pro Shop pyramid? I think not.
That'd be amazing.
We know where the real spiritual power is now.
Whew. Well, look, the worst news of all is that Yanni has given this Bible study his blessing. What terrible news that is. A horrible omen.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. Do you agree with Ben Shapiro's thesis about Athens and Jerusalem?
No, I
Okay.
have no idea what his thesis is, but I can guarantee you I will disagree.
I like that I already knew that you just knew you were disagreeing with Kurt bringing up this point, not what the point was. Just
No, but I generally disagree with Ben Shapiro regularly. So yeah, there's a reason I don't know what his thesis is. I don't listen to Ben Shapiro.
I am going to get back to work. I'm Jacob. Thank you, good sir, for having Bible study last week in my absence. Thank you, everyone, for coming back, despite the fact that I neglected you. That Dad needed to get out for some smokes for a little bit. Okay, guys, but happy to be back with you. It's not 2016 anymore. I think that's a reference to Ben Shapiro. Yeah. Okay. That's when Jacob agreed with Ben Shapiro was 2016. I don't think we're supposed to take the year 2016 literally in Cassandra's comment here. I think it's the metaphorical 2016. Yeah. You're number one. All right, girl. Accept it. Okay. I'm going to leave now. Jacob, is it all right if I turn this off? You're fine with this? Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts. We'll get into the next chapter next week. I thought we would finish, but, this is what happens. So it was a wonderful time. Jacob, Jacob might come back immediately just to fight Yoav some more.
I'm actually probably going to do a stream talking about my discussion with Dr. Lockwood about the state of psychology that I did yesterday.
I just started listening to it. It seems like it's going to get to some interesting places.
It did. Much more interesting places than I thought it would.
Man, I like you saying, I really thought this was going to be much more boring. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Peace.